Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, featuring the voices of Matthew Broderick, Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Neve Campbell, Andy Dick, and Lacey Chabert, and directed by Daryl Rooney and Rob LaDuca. Now I remember seeing this on home viewing a long time ago. And what do I think of it? Well, it might be the same as what I'm about to think of it now. Let's get into it. The animals go to Pride Rock as they get introduced to Simba's and Nala's new daughter, Kiara, as a cub, and the animation on this movie looks bad. It's almost as bad as Return of Jafar, in my opinion. Kiara, as a young lion, voiced by Michelle Horn, is cute, but the character did kind of get on my nerves, particularly since when she meets Kovu as a young cub, and Timon, returning voice of Nathan Lane, and Pumbaa, returning voice of Ernie Sabella, keeps an eye on Kiara, and she takes off and meets Kovu, and again this movie is getting on my nerves. Simba, returning voice of Matthew Broderick, comes to the rescue of Kiara, and Zira, voiced by Suzanne Pleshette, comes in for Kovu, and Zira is a terrible villain of this movie. The songs here are kind of repetitive to the point it kind of annoyed me to death. I thought when I watched this the first time, because I watched this twice for this review, it felt like the longest direct-to-video movies I've seen for a long time, and they're all usually pretty short. I mean, this is a short movie too, but let's move on. Zira and Kovu get back home and we're introduced to Vitani, as a cub, voiced by Lacey Chabert, who I've seen in other things, I can't remember which ones, who I like as a character, but Nuka, voiced by Andy Dick, bugged the stink out of me, and Zira's evil song is not quite as good as Scar's evil song, but it's fine at best. Rafiki, returning voice of Robert G.B.M.H, is probably the best presence in this series, and both Kovu, and voiced by Jason Marsden, and Kiara, voiced by Neve Campbell, is all grown up, and Simba promises Kiara to let her be on by herself as a queen, as Kovu is planned to avenge Scar by killing Simba, while Timon and Pumbaa spy on Kiara. And for Simba, who breaks his promise, and Kovu and Kiara's voice actors are okay in this movie, but in my opinion, I don't like the score. It bugs me. As Kovu saves Kiara, Kovu spends 2 nights. The first day was Kovu and Kiara training for lessons the first night and having a romance together, and the second day he walks and talks with Simba until he sees Scar and is attacked by Zira. And Simba doesn't forgive Kovu, and Kovu sees a reflection of Scar, and Kiara escapes Pride Rock and finds Kovu as she is still in love with him. And I kind of buy their romance. I think it's sweet and rather passable. Zira and her army versus Simba and his lioness, and with Kiara and Kovu in the way to stop the fight, and Zira's army thinks enough is enough with Kiara, Simba, and Kovu, but Zira doesn't let the past go, and she goes in the water, and Kiara tries to save her, and yet I'm not satisfied. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 4.3 out of 10. The music is bad, the songs are repetitive, and the characters, except for Rafiki, are fine at best, but this story isn't satisfying, and that's just the real problem for me. The plot, just can't follow whatsoever, but I'll admit this is better than Return of Jafar, but it's not enough for me to like this movie as much as the original. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me, and next time I will be back with The Lion King 1.5. And until next time, it's the circle of life.